But it just goes to prove what I'm about to talk about. How are we for time? Yeah, we've got another 12 minutes. So I went for the driving test. I don't know where you're up to and what you've seen and what you haven't seen. But I'm talking about my first driving test I wasn't prepared for. And I went and did it fully being aware that I wasn't likely to pass it, and that was no big deal. But this challenge of 70 days that I'm doing now, I wasn't prepared for either. And it's not the success I would have hoped for, and I've learnt a lot from it. And what happened, what I was saying, as I said, I have no idea when the life has gone off. Um, that I was sitting in my office and then I got an email from a guy that sets up New Age fairs. And in Switzerland, people give conferences, which we pay to give the conference, whatever. And he said there were some dates that nobody wanted to take. And the two dates were Saturday and Sunday, I think at 9:30 in the morning when not many people come to conference. And I thought, okay, well, why not? I wasn't going to do the fair, so why not do the conference? Then I thought, what would I talk about in the conference? I thought, the 70-day challenge. It's the thing that's happening at the moment for me. So I did the work for it, got the conference ready, and I went and did the conference, and that was okay. I was checking to see there's something happening. I can't see anything, you see. I can see myself, I can see my own reflection, but I can't see what's happening on the camera on the screen. And so it's like that. So I did the conference, and by doing the conference, I thought I better do a new 70-day challenge, and so I put it into place just after Easter, because it seemed to be a reasonable time to do it. But I hadn't got things prepared. There's a form that people have to fill in that talks about the challenge, how they're going to do it, things like that. I was rushing to do that, and then a journal page that they could do, and I was rushing to do that. So there are many things I was rushing to do, and I didn't do any promotion. And I thought a lot of people would come just like that naturally, and they would interact with me, and they didn't. And so far, there's very little interaction. And I planned half an hour an evening, half an hour French, half an hour in English, for that, and there's no interaction. So I had to also think about what am I going to do for half an hour every evening and on Saturdays that would be interesting or would be worthwhile. And so I had to put that into place. So I was in a, and I am in a constant learning curve. And for me, because I'm going to do the same thing in September and then 3 times a year for the foreseeable future, that's my plan anyway. So the fact that this is relatively successful, but not anywhere near as successful that I would wish, is not the end of the world, because the investment is all for things for the future. And I'm using this to start to build things for the future. I'm recording these. I will use some of the things in the future. So it's not the end of the world, but just keep an eye on the time. 20 minutes, okay. Um, Another time when the timing was off, and the time was because of resources. Because timing could be just time, the wrong time of the year, something happens in life that just you weren't expecting, things like that. On the other hand, maybe you planned to have support. Yeah, maybe planned people would help you, or you'd have resources that you don't have. Or the strategy you realize the strategy that you planned for is not working. It's not really the right strategy, and you have to change the strategy as you're going along. Or you can just say the strategy that I started with didn't work, and now I feel it's too late to sort of change directions. I'll wait till the next 70 days and I'll start again with a new strategy. It's not the end of the world. And one of the stories that I tell about this, and if you've heard it before, then you'll hear it again. When we bought our house 20 years ago, one of the things about house, because Lausanne is built on hills, is that we had the house, then we had a small sort of patio made with slabs, paving stones, that's it, pavé in French. And after that, there was a slope, quite a big slope, grass. Then there was a wall. And then under the wall, there was another slope, even steeper. And because we had a 1-year-old that was not at all safe, the first reflex was to put a barrier right across where the slope was, so he wasn't going to fall and kill himself, which was reasonable. But throughout that first summer, I kept walking and looking at this slope and this grass, and that the space that we had wasn't enormous, and it lost the sun quite quickly because of the sun turning behind the house. And this bit of slope actually had more sun, and it just seemed a waste. So I had this idea, brilliant idea, because I have such brilliant ideas, because I'm totally brilliant, that I would build up this wall an extra metre or so, and then I could fill it with soil, and then we could have everything flat. And then we'd have a nice grassy place that we could walk on, and put a barrier at the edge of the wall as well. And my son could walk on, and we'd have more space, and it would be a good idea. So I went to my wife and said, hey, I got this great idea, I'm going to build this wall up. And then she looked at me and said, Gary, have you ever built a wall? I said, well, not exactly. She said, well, you're not going to touch that, because if stones fall down, they could roll down and kill people further down on the edge of the garden, because there's nothing blocking at the edge of the garden either at the time. And I said, well, look, is there some way I could prove to you I could do that? So she said, look, we have a small vegetable garden that could do with a wall, build the wall, and then we'll see. So throughout the winter, because I was stubbornly determined, I'm going to build this wall, I built this wall in this vegetable garden, which still actually exists 20 years later, well, 19 years later. It's a bit leaning now, hasn't fallen down quite yet. And anyway, so throughout the winter, I sort of nights in the dark with lamps on my head, I built this wall. And then spring came and said, look, built the wall, it's not fallen down, I'm going to build the other wall. And she had nothing to say. That was the agreement. So I went and bought a huge sack of small stones, which was another history, very complicated. And I started to build the wall with these small stones. And the truth of the matter is, it just wasn't working. Because it was built, it wasn't, because the other wall, I put some, like people who build foundations, I put wood on the sides, and I put the stones in, I filled it with concrete, and it was fine. This wall, it couldn't do that, because it was a high wall already in place. I couldn't fill it with, anyway, it was a mess. So some weeks later, one Saturday morning, my wife passed, she looks at me, she shook her head, she said, Gary, that is a mess. Why don't you put it away and wait for another time when you know how to do it and you find the right tools. It took me about 2 hours to destroy what I'd done and put it away, because I did not have the means at the time to do it. It was a wrong idea, it was the wrong timing. I didn't have the means to do it. Some months later, the person that I was working for that owned the building that we worked in decided to have an extension built. To have the extension built, he had to take off the outside wall, which was already there. The outside wall was made of these huge, beautiful rocks. And I organised to bring them home. And those were exactly the right type of stones, rocks, I'm going to call them, to build the wall. And so I did it, and it was fine, and it's now about 18 years later. It's still standing, it's still straight. Had some workers came in at one point about 5 years ago, and they put some extra concrete on and tidied it up. But generally it's still there, because the timing was right, because the materials were right, because it was the right moment to do it. Now, why am I talking about this today? I'm talking about this today because last Thursday I thought the subject would be nice to talk about would be how to deal with aggressive people. And I thought, that's a great subject. And then during the day I thought, that's too good a subject for a Thursday night. What would be interesting was to do it on a Saturday and to do a promotion for that on YouTube. And then hopefully, because I do a promotion first, I have a lot more people that will watch it because I think it's a very important subject. So I got myself all excited, and on Friday, yesterday, I started to create the image, the thumbnail, and to think about what I was going to talk about. And I got myself all excited and very stressed. And then the other thing is that I knew that today I would be outside of the house trying to make this life thing work with tools I didn't know if they would work. And you've seen just with this the truth of that, because I had to restart because something didn't work. And this is the second redo that I've done, because I tried to do it with a program called Restream, which does tend to work on my computer, and I tried to get it working on the tablet. It seemed fine, and then just before it was the time to start, it just wouldn't accept the camera for some reason. It did before. So very quickly I had to give up the idea of doing it on Restream, which also goes to Facebook, and just do it on YouTube Live, and that will be all I could do. And so that's what I've done. So the truth of the matter is, it's a mess. There was always the possibility, even the likelihood it would be a mess today. And so the idea to invest a lot of time, a lot of energy, money for a promotion, for something that it was not the perfect conditions to do, was stupid. Unfortunately, yesterday afternoon, I had this very interesting conversation with a very intelligent person called Gary. I usually am my own therapist, and sometimes it works. And I said, this is a nonsense. You're pushing to do this. You want to do a promotion, but it's already Friday afternoon, and you maybe not even get it finished by Friday night. So what's the point having a promotion for maybe a few hours? And Saturday, you know you're not in the house. You've no idea how this is going to work. Why give yourself all this stress and the likelihood that it's going to fail? And that's gave me this idea of talking today about timing, about is this the right time to invest a big dream? So yes, every Saturday I do this live. My daughter will have to wait until I finished to take her home, so she's going to have to hang around a bit. It's not the end of the world, and I'm here on the outside, melting in the sun, hoping that this is working so that I could be sharing this with you, and trusting that it brings you some ideas and it brings you some distance. So if what you're doing at the moment isn't working the way you planned it, maybe it's not the right timing. Maybe you don't have the right resources. Just look at my watch, it's 51, just so you know. Maybe it's just time to take a step back and say, okay, how is my dream? Does my dream still make sense? It's always the first question when things don't seem to be working out as you plan. Does my dream make sense? And does it make sense? You need to look at the timing. You need to look at the possible resources. You need to look globally how this might happen. I gave the as an illustration in the French version. Imagine that you want to go on holiday in the summer, and the factory where you work always has overtime whenever you want it. It's an open thing, and you think, okay, I'm going to work until the summer holidays. I'm going to work every weekend. I'm going to work 7 days a week. I'm going to work like a Trojan, and I'm going to earn a lot of money, which means I'm going to go on a nice holiday and have plenty of money to spend. It's going to be great. And all of a sudden, because of the tariffs or whatever, your factory has decided that I'm going to produce as much, can't sell as much, and the weekends and the overtime is out for the moment. So a good plan that made sense, that was reasonable, that was practical, that was doable, suddenly isn't working because of an outside event that I just said, no, it isn't going to happen that way. Now maybe you could sort of think around, maybe you could find something else you could do at the weekend to earn some money, maybe not. But this project that you had invested in, maybe it won't work because the timing became wrong. Nothing to do with you or your planning or anything you could have imagined. So that's something to be aware of. And sometimes you just need to take a step back and say what I had planned, what I intended to do. For instance, one of my fantasies, and it's a fantasy, was to create a journal book. To create a journal book before the end of these 10 weeks. And it's not happened. I have a lot of other things that have come in that take my time, and I have advanced with it. But at the end of the day, to do it during this 10-week project, it's not at all realistic. I'll let it go. I will do it in the summer. That is a very firm plan. It's something that I'm going to invest in and I'm going to enjoy doing because I'll have the time and I'll have the space to do it. Have a week's holiday, and I've got people to be with during the holiday. I will also have quite a lot of time. I plan anyway to quite a long time to at least do the journal book and maybe start the theory book. You see, once you have a project, if you realize that the timing is off, don't always push it. Maybe you could manipulate it, maybe you could find more resources, maybe you could find other solutions, but maybe not. And if you can't, it's not the end of the world. It's very rarely that important, rarely. I'm not saying some projects are not really important and life or death, or change your life and things like that, but most of the time, most of our projects, if we have to put them off, that'll be very frustrating. My daughter, for instance, wants to do teachers training, and the teachers training for this year in Lausanne is closed. Just finished. We have a maximum family we want. She can't do it this year. So she's going to have to do something else during this next year, something interesting, something like that. And she's had to cope with that frustration. She's still young, 1 year here or there. It seems a lot now, but when you look backwards like I do, and I see that a year here or there, I've had years and years and years that I've done nothing very useful or that I've advanced with my life that seemed that way at the time. And now, a lot of those things that were a waste of time, that were just time, now I look back and think, oh, that was useful. I did this and I could do that, which I didn't plan. And that helps get things forward. So please, please, please do not give up hope. You do not get frustrated. If things are not working out as you plan, reflect. Is this the right timing? Is something happened that I hadn't planned for, or I hadn't realized, or I hadn't seen? Are there resources that I thought I would be able to make benefit from that are not there or have ceased to be there, that are not available? Maybe you plan to do something with someone and your project included them, and then suddenly for some reason either they got sick and they couldn't do it, or they got a promotion, or they decided they wanted to go and work somewhere a long way away, and then they can't do everything that they'd planned. Many things can occur. Take a step back. It's not the end of the world. If it's important, you'll find a way. Maybe not straight away. Maybe not with the resources of what you've planned. But it will happen. Believe that if what you want, what you need is important, you find a way to make it happen. Maybe not straight away. Maybe you'll have to wait till the next time it goes round. Like my daughter will have to wait till next September to go into this, if she's not found something else more interesting, because she's had to take a year to do something else. Who knows what will happen in a year? Sometimes you can make a lemonade out of a lemon. Maybe something that's not works, it's not where you planned, and then you look at what you've got and you think, hey, look, I can do this. So many people have failed in their projects. The plastic bubble wrap that was meant to be a wallpaper that failed. Silly putty, I don't know what silly putty is, it's a child's game, it's a child's putty, comme ça. It was meant to be some type of glue. Post-its are made out of a glue that failed. It was meant to be a strong glue and it became an incredibly weak glue. So sometimes what you plan and what you get are not what you expect, but maybe sometimes what you get is better than what you plan to have. So everything has its possibilities. Don't give up. Don't lose confidence, especially not in yourself. Life is long. If we keep faith, we keep energy, we keep looking forward, we build our optimism regularly, then we will succeed in life. We also need to be able to take criticism, we also need to take distance, we also need sometimes to question our beliefs and what we think is to be true and who we think we are. I'm not saying that you're perfect already. I know I'm 68 years old and I'm still far from being perfect, but I'm working at it. And I want you to work at it. I want you to have faith in yourself that even if you're not as good as you would like to be, you can be better. We can all be better. But you need to watch for the timing. Okay, it's the end. Thank you for your time. I'm here 6 times a week. Sunday night for meditation, tomorrow night's meditation about Little Bear. Monday night, Tuesday night and Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. CEST. And Saturday, like today, at 4:30 p.m. And next Saturday, it's dealing with aggressive people. It's definitely going to be worth watching because I'm investing a lot in it and I trust it'll be worthwhile. Thank you for your time. Have a great end of the weekend and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.